Hi, welcome to the next lecture of RESTful API development using NestJs. So, for today's topics would be the authentication, and along with that, we will review the past code that we actually worked on. So, moving forward to the code that we built initially, we have worked on a particular module on an app module, where we set up our root project. Along with that, we created a user module, we created the type ORM configuration, and along with that we also created basic CRUD operations for a user. In today's topic we will further cover authentication, in which we will be using auth module. I just created that one right before the recording, so I will just delete it. So we'll create an auth module, and we will be using that module in order to log in a user. So just to give you a heads up, we are creating an auth module. So what I generally do, I create a folder here with the name related to what I will be developing. So in the auth module we will be creating two APIs specifically, in which we will create one would be register, and the second one would be the login. Okay, so I will just add login here, and both would be post type requests, and let me close all of the other tabs, close all tabs, and here we will use the same URL of register of our base URL, and we will just change it to the required one whenever we create our module. So in order to create the authentication module, I will just delete it once. So it might take some time to delete so that I can reproduce what I did. Okay, I will just continue. Okay, yes, delete permanently. Now as you see, I have deleted the auth module, so I will start from scratch. I will just delete it from the imported files here inside the app module. So what I generally do, I will go back to my CLI, or you can say my git bash, and I will just run a command of nestg resource and auth. Okay, and what it will do, it will create the following files along with the auth folder, and same as we did inside our user. But in auth module, this is just a module that will have the routes and also the services, but it won't have any specific entity for itself. So what I will do, I will just delete the entity folder from here. I will keep the DTOs as it is, as we will be moving towards DTOs once we do the authentication. So after going back to the controller, as we have more than two endpoints, we will just create the required ones, as we need only two post URLs. That would be, one would be login and the other one would be the register. Okay, so what we will do here, we will just add login here, and similarly we will add register here, and we will change the names accordingly. For example, like login here and register here. Sorry for the spelling mistake. And here what we will do, we will create related functions here. Okay, what we will be doing, so I will just try to run this here after linting my project. Okay, so as it is linted, and we just need to go back here, npm run start colon dev. Yep, it will compile in a bit. And now what we can do, we can go back here, and the routes that we created would be auth/login. So it's working fine. Similarly, sorry, it's register here, and it would be log auth slash login would be okay. So these are the two routes that we are hitting right now. Now what we will do, we need to, as we are following the documentation, we go back here and write authentication NestJs. JWT. So we will just find out the relevant link on which we need to work on. So NestJs authentication, this one. Here we will see that how it actually works. It will refer towards the module that you need to create a controller and a service. So we did it in a shorter manner. We create a resource and deleted the relevant files. So in order to create a particular authentication, you need to create an auth folder, as we already did, and inside the auth service you need to create some of the functions that would be used by our auth passport. So what we will do, we will create inside the service, we will create this particular function of sign in. Okay, so I will just copy it from here. We can obviously change the code as we need it, but I will just copy it from here. I will write it down at the end of the file. Okay, and here you see this is using the user service. So what is meant here, that we need to have a user service included here in the constructor of the class. So we need to create the constructor, as we need a dependency injection here. So we will just create a constructor, and what I will do, I will just write private user service, and user service that will be included from this path. I will just use the related paths, and now this is a service that we will be using. Now once you use a service like that, what you need to do, you need to export the service from the particular module and import it here. So we will be getting an error in our terminal where we are running the project. If we open here, you see that this is not recognizable. This is the first error we need to resolve, because it is using this service. So I will just comment out the code from here. We need to just use the same variable first of all, and after that what we will do, we will just import the user module inside the auth module. Okay, I'm just doing it step by step so that you guys can relate what the actual coding would be like when you're creating an authentication module. So here I will just use user module, and it will be same imported from the folder here. And now if you see, it will still give you an error. Okay, so after saving it, maybe I will run it again. There might be some issues. Now you see the error has been changed to username error. So I will just go here, as we don't have any username here. We just need to see whether this inclusion works or not. No, this won't work. Why? Because if we go back to our users module, you need to export the services that will be using by the other modules, which imports user module. Okay, so I will just export it from here, and now the code is compiled. So it means that all the requirements to inject the user service inside the auth service has been completed. Now what you can do, you can just use this service functions accordingly. As we have created not a lot of functions, we just need to see, for example, if you need to find a user by ID, you need to if I go to the user service, I have created a function to with the find one name, so I can still use it. Okay, and what this is the email actually that we'll be sending towards the find one function. So what we will do, we will just write email here instead of username, and we will still use the email here, and this is the password that we will be sending afterwards in order to match. But initially we will send email, and we need to create another function with the name of find one by, so that it filters out. Okay, find one where, and the where would be coming from in form of options here. Okay, and that could be any options that we will be sending towards this function, and we will just write it down here like that, options. Okay, so it means that you need to send an object in form of where condition, so that it has been added here. Now it is giving us some error that we have an extra bracket here, so we will just remove that, and we can use this function find one by, and we will just add here, as our parameter name is email, we can write it down either ways, like email, and then, or you can just write down email, it will create the same object. So I'm just for explanation purposes, I'm just writing down email colon email, what is coming from the top, and this sign in function is now according to our need. Okay, so if we go to the next step of the documentation, it says that if user.password is not equal to password. Okay, so it means that it is not converting the password right now. You need to just copy you need to just open this condition again. This is the user.password is not equal to password, and this will come from NestJs common. Okay, similarly, if the user is there, so it will do, it will just create a new object out of it, and it will return that object to the strategy. So that's how this function will work. Now moving forward, in order to create this mechanism, we need to create a function inside the service inside the controller, like this post login, and what it will do, it will call the sign in method like this, and just return the user, whether it is a right user or not. So this is how it generally works. But in order to extend this towards the JWT authentication, we need to install particular packages for that. So I will just install this NestJs JWT package, and once that is done, we need to change things accordingly, as we need to create a token on that. Okay, so here as you see, user.password is not equal to password, so it means that the email that we are sending along with the password needs to authenticate that. So first of all, going to the controller, I will just change it to login DTO. Okay, and it would be any right now, as we are not using any DTOs right now. I will just log it down here for your reference, and login DTO here, and I will send this DTO to sign in. Okay, and login DTO email. Okay, so if you see, it requires email and password, so email and password. Okay, so here from the front end, from the Postman side, we will go here body raw format in JSON, and we will just write down this email colon ishan.gmail.com. So just to re-verify how many users we have only one user with this email. Okay, and we will go here, we will write it down here, and the password would be test123. so it means that we have this password colon test123. Okay, now as you see that we are confirming that the user is there, and if I change a password, unauthorized. Okay, so it means that we are able to match our email and password accordingly. Okay, this is not the recommended way, but just to give you an idea about how things work, we generally do direct matching of the password, getting an email from the front end also, and then return the object without the password inside it for the security reasons. Okay, so that's how generally works. So if you see that our basic work has been done, but in order to return a proper token, we just need to return it in the form of a JWT token that will be, that will come from this JWT service. Okay, so what we will do, we will just create this JWT service here and create this injectable instance right after our user service. Okay, and what it will do, it will just give us the authority to use this directly here, and then we will give the payload, or you can say you can give this payload that you have created here actually. So what we need to do, we need to give this object of user to this payload, and it will return this result in that format. So we will just return it from here, we will not return this result anymore. Okay, so let me check whether the project is running or not. What would be the issues here? Fix auto all issues. Okay, JWT service. Okay, so it's giving us an error that this JWT service is not the part of this module, but this JWT service directly coming from this JWT from this package. So this might be something that we are missing here. Package see more is usability on package. See more. Let us check here. Keep our services cleanly modularized. We will handle generally the JWT auth service. Open the. So I just figured it out that we are directly using a service within the auth service, and there is no module related to it obviously, so it will give us error. In order to use the JWT service directly into your required path, you need to add this JWT module within the module under which you are going to use it, or maybe you can add it globally inside your app module, but we are just using it inside the auth, so I will just add it here. I am sending it global true, that if we might need to use anywhere else, we can use that also. And we have a sign in options where we expires our token in 60 seconds. This is the secret that we will be covering up in the upcoming lectures and it will come from our environment file. So currently I am just sending it a test secret here, and if I save it here and now check, the project is running fine. Now what we will do, we will just re-log in from here. Let me check what's the error. Payload to be a plain object. Okay, we go back here and we see inside the auth, we see that we are using this user, which might be not the actual case that it needs. Okay, so what we will do, we will just create a object like this here because it needs a plain object. So you see now it is working fine, and if I go here and utilize it in this format, I will go to JWT website and I will just see what data we are storing inside it. So we are storing complete data without password, with ID, name, email, cell, created, updated, and if you see the expiry, it would be expired with like in a minute, because currently my system time is 7:0. Let me check my time, 7:04. So it will expire on 7:04 56 seconds. Okay, and it is created on 7:03 56 seconds. So it means it's working fine with the configuration and the token has been returned to the user. So that's how a basic sign up works, and you can just utilize this in order to create a basic authentication mechanism for a user. This is not the recommended format, but we will obviously evolve it in our upcoming video. So moving forward, that once you create a token, you need to create a guard in order to protect those APIs that require this particular token. For that, we need to have a guard created within the auth folder, which might be named as a auth guard. You can name it anything else, but that is a recommended format from NestJs. So what you can do, you can create an auth guard just like that. I will just copy this name in order to follow what NestJs provides us, and create a new file with the same name here, authguard.ts. Okay, so just to review the code, it is just a simple injectable class, okay, which is implements can activate. Now what is can activate? You need to go towards its documentation if needed. Currently I will just explain it in a very simple manner, that it is just a way that you can create a decorator, and what it does, it you will be allowed to use in this class as a decorator pattern, rather than directly injecting into your service or any controller. You will just create a decorator out of it, export this from here, create a decorator, and it will start working. How it will work, we can just see after we implement it. So it is just a decorator that will be created. Inside that we are using a JWT service, and within that if you see, it gets the context of the request, okay, and we can use get request from this context, so that you get the request object. Inside the request object, the front end needs to send the token, okay, that is compulsory. How it will send, I will explain to you while using Postman. Once the token is there, if there is no token, this is just an unauthorized error here. If we find the token, we need to verify it from a JWT service function, that verify it like this, okay, and once we get the payload out of it, we need to put it inside the request object, and user is equal to payload. It means that once the user is completely authenticated, we will add a user object inside the request, so that it can be reused within the controllers. So that we will also see. Once it is not verified, it will go towards the catch here, and it will be an error for the user. So this is the basic mechanism of authenticating a user. Now if you see, an extra function has been created here. So it have what it do, it gets the request, okay, it splits the authorization inside the header, and inside the header we need to send it something like that. If this is the token, for example, this is the token that user needs to send in order to get all of the users, okay. So it inside the authorization, you might go here bearer, and you will add the token here, okay. So it adds bearer before token, so you need to split that token here, and once it returns that token, it will be usable towards this function. So we will just utilize the same code in order to save our time, and just now this is the code that we will be using. Let me lint this out. So this is a JWT constant, not secret. So we will be using the same static secret right now. So after pasting this here, as you can see, we will just try to run it, but before that I have changed this secret to my test secret that we are using here, so that the things are in sync. If we are using this secret, so I will use the same secret while converting this token. So I will just copy and paste here, and this is the token that we will be getting. So in order to just run it, we will go back to the documentation and see how it actually works. So if you see that this is how it actually gives you a privilege to add the guard. So I will go back here, and if you that is the right thing, to create a third controller which will get the user profile of an authorized user. So I will just import it from nest common this use guard, okay, and I will just write down auth guard here, okay. And if you see that it is importing the auth guard from auth service, auth guard directly from the auth guard. So that's how it will work. So I will create another URL of get, okay, and it will get the profile of the login user. So I will just write it down as profile here, and we might need nothing inside the request directly, but we need the request variable. So this request will come out of express, and this will come out of NestJs common, and we need to get get inside the auth service. We are using okay, so as you know that inside the auth guard we have added this user object, okay. So I will just return this request dot user out of that. So as it is not a defined entity, so I will just write it down like this. And now you see that if I send a profile API, so I need to create another, but I don't need to create this here. I will just remove it from here for now. I will create a third API like this, copy paste here, and this one would be, I will generally say it me, or you can say it as a profile API. So it will use the same URL auth, but it will write down profile here, and if I send it, it said that 401 unauthorized. So it means that inside the guard it checks the token, and then there is no token, okay. Once you do that, you further need to send the token in the authorization like this, okay. But if you now send it, same error. Why? Because this is an expired token. Now if I log in from here again, copy this token, okay, go to the profile API, add the latest token and send it, and now you see you get your profile data. How it is giving it? Because you are actually adding the user object from the payload of the token that we get. So if I log something here, log the payload. What is payload? Payload is the data that you added inside the token while creating the token, okay. So if you see here, this is the payload that is being added here. So this is the token that we are getting from this function, and if I log here, so request.header.authorization, okay. So this is what we will be getting. If I show you, yeah, now you see this is the token we are getting, bearer token, and we split it from here. It means that the when we split, we get the array. The first one would be the type bearer, and the second would be the token, and we are returning the token from here. So it means that we are checking the authorization key within the headers object. So our current code works pretty much fine, and if you see here, you are getting it again error. Why? Because the current token now expires. Again I will go to the login, create a token. It will run for only 60 seconds. We can change the time accordingly, but currently I will just utilize the same. Now you will get the object. So it means that this guard of this auth guard is now working fine, and and it is usable in any module. For example, you want to use this guard on a user controller, and that only authenticated user can get all of the users, okay. So now this API won't work anymore. So what we will do, we will create a bearer token, it will get automatically. So now it is on again expired. We will go to the login, we will just copy it out from here, and all authorization, and here now you see it gets all of the users. So it means that it is working fine, and our authentication mechanism has been completed. As we know that using a direct password inside the database is not a good thing. For example, if you see here, we are storing the password as direct strings. That is not a good idea. So in order to utilize a proper mechanism, we generally use a third party to encrypt and use that encryption instead of direct strings. So what we will generally do, we will use the encryption here, and this is the encryption package that we can use. There are multiple, so what I will recommend, you can use either MD5. okay, there is an npm return here, so this is the MD5 that you can generally use. You can install it in your project. okay, so I will just go here, copy it here, and MD5 is will be installed in a bit. Now just to let you know how you can use it, you can just require that and give it a string, and it will convert it into the MD5 format, and you can just utilize it while creating a user or registering a user. So we will do that while registering a user. okay, so now as it has been included, now we will be moved towards our register user. Currently for the register user, we will use the same data that we use to create a user. okay, so that is same raw JSON, and generally there is a difference between register and create. So create means that as an admin you can create a user, right? But register means that if there is an API that requires to be called when a user comes as of a sign up process. So that is a difference between these two. So just semantic difference, moreover it will do the same functionality, and the route is only different, but the functionality would be same. So as you see that we need to send this object to our register here, register API, and what it will do, it will just further call user service. okay, and we will just create the user out of it, and we will just send this DTO register user. okay, I will just remove all of the extra functions out of there. So this is the register user. We will just return this promise from here, and we will go back. okay, we will just rename it to register, and here register. okay, save here, save here, and now if we run it, it again adds the user. okay, but we have a reservation here. Why? Because we don't need these passwords to be like that. So I will just delete all of them and refresh the tape. So we have deleted these two users, and currently we don't have any user. okay, so before we create a user, we just need to convert its password to the encrypted one. So we will just go to the register here, and we will utilize our MD5. So we will just copy the code from here. As you see, we are not using this pattern anymore, so we might use a constant here, but that is not a good option. So we will use import static as MD5 from MD5. okay, we will just see whether it works or not. But what I will do, I will just log here MD5, and I will send that register user password. okay, so just I think it worked fine. As you see, it converts the password. So what we will do, we will just change register user password is equal to converted one. Okay, like that, and remove this line. Now you see this has been refreshed. I will go back here, delete all of the users, create a new one again, and now you see the password has been created. Along with that, if you see, whenever we register a user or we create a user, we need to do the same stuff. Why? Because at the end the user can log in even if he is created or registered. So I will go back here in the controller, and inside the service, as you see, we have actually added DTO here. So that would be a good thing to do inside this service, as both of the controller are using the same service. So I will go into this create function and do this here, so that even if you create or even if you register a user, it will do this same to both of the objects. So I will just change it like this. Now if you see, even if I create a user, it is doing the same thing. So, and if I do this one, it is doing the same thing. Okay, so this is how the basic things will work. Now as you see, the password is one thing that should not return in any case. For example, if you get all of the users, let me remove the authentication from all of the users API that we created, because we don't need there anymore. So as you see, we are returning the password. That is a very bad thing in API practices. So we will go to our entity and we will just add a condition here that select false. Now it will resolve our one problem, that it won't return it in any case. Okay, so if you see here, it won't return it in any case, but what happen will be that you won't be able to log in anymore. Why? We will see that. Even if this is your email and password with which we registered, maybe we can register again and see that we have this user here. Okay, now inside this user, as you see, that we have the same name, same email, and we can log in from here, but it's still giving us error. Why? Because what happen when you keep it select false and then you try to get it within this service of sign in and find one by, it won't return you there also, and you will not be able to get this password here. So just to verify things, I will write it down user here, just copy paste here, and when we run the login, as you see, inside this object we are not getting the password. Why? Because we restricted it to be selected automatically. So what we will do here, we will just, this is the where condition, right? So this is the where options. In rather than that, we will try to get the options completely out of this function. So direct options here, and we will send something like that, where, and we will just colon. Okay, and this one would be the object here. So that's how it will work. Now I will also send an select option, select colon. So I will select ID, name, email, password, and created at, and similarly we will add the column up. Okay, I will just change it to the right linting format. Now once you do it like that, I think there is an issue when we add the custom fields. So where was found in user, make sure the query is correct. Okay, find one by select. Okay, so we haven't saved the code properly, the code was right. Now you see this is just giving us the same error. We have got the password now, that is one progress. Now why it is giving us again the same error? Because this password has been changed to hash. Okay, that has been updated, but the current password that is coming is not in the same format. If I add the second variable PASS here, and we will just see what happens. So the password that is coming here is converted to MD5 and this is not. So what we need to do, we need to utilize the same function from MD5. So import static as MD5 from MD5. Okay, and you will just utilize this function in order to convert the password that is coming from the user on this point of time. Now if you see, you click this again and it will start working. So it means that now we are actually converting it into the MD5 format and then matching it. So you just go here and run it again, you will get your email here. Okay, so this is expiry and all that. So it means that we have successfully used the register URL along with the profile URL and login URL. So do let me know if you have any question within this lecture. You can comment on the video, and please don't forget to subscribe and like the channel. Thank you very much.